My wife said, "Choose, me or your sister. I'm not sharing you anymore." After 7 years of marriage, I replied, "That's an impossible choice." Then my sister revealed why my wife really wanted her gone. She discovered my wife's secret bank account with $200. When the family heard where the money came from, I, 38 male, have been married to my wife for 7 years. We have 2 kids, ages 5 and 3. My sister is my only sibling. Our mom passed away 2 years ago from cancer, and our dad passed when we were teenagers. My sister and I have always been close. Not weird close, just normal sibling close. We text a few times a week, have dinner together once a month, and she's the godmother to my oldest. 3 weeks ago, my wife sat me down after the kids went to bed and delivered an ultimatum I never saw coming. "I need you to choose, me or your sister. I'm done sharing you." I actually laughed at first because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. "What are you talking about, sharing me? She's my sister. She's constantly inserting herself into our lives. Every family decision, every holiday, every birthday. I'm tired of it. Either she goes or I do." I was genuinely confused. My sister doesn't insert herself anywhere. She comes to birthday parties because she's their aunt. She comes to holidays because that's what families do. She doesn't show up unannounced. She doesn't overstay her welcome. She's honestly the most respectful person I know. "That's an impossible choice," I said. "I'm not cutting off my sister. That's insane." "Then I guess we know where your priorities are." She slept in the guest room that night. The next day, she acted like everything was fine. Didn't bring it up again. I thought maybe she'd had a bad day and was venting frustration about something else entirely. Couples fight, we'd move past it. Except I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The ultimatum came out of nowhere. My wife and sister had always gotten along, or so I thought. They weren't best friends, but they were cordial, polite. There was never obvious tension. I called my sister the next day to feel things out. Asked if anything had happened between them that I didn't know about. The silence on the phone was deafening. "Can we meet in person?" she finally asked. "There's something I need to tell you. I've been trying to figure out how to bring this up, but it's not a phone conversation." We met at a coffee shop the following Saturday. She looked nervous. My sister never looks nervous. She's a corporate accountant who deals with audits and financial investigations. Nothing rattles her. "I found something," she said, "about your wife. I didn't go looking for it. It just fell into my lap." "What do you mean?" "A few months ago, I was doing some estate work, finalizing the last of Mom's accounts. You remember how messy the probate was?" I nodded. Our mom's estate had taken almost a year to sort out. She'd had various accounts, some investments, a life insurance policy. My sister had handled most of it since she had the financial background. I'd trusted her completely. I found a discrepancy, a large one. There was supposed to be $400,000 split between us from Mom's main investment account. We each got $200,000, right? Right, I remember. That money went into our savings. Did it? Did you actually verify that? My stomach dropped. What are you saying? She slid a folder across the table. Bank statements, transfer records, a paper trail I didn't understand at first glance. Your wife opened a separate account 3 weeks before Mom died. She transferred $200,000 into it. Your half of the inheritance. The money that was supposed to go into your joint savings never actually went there. She moved it to a private account in her name only. I stared at the documents. The numbers didn't lie. There it was in black and white, an account I'd never seen. Deposits that matched exactly with the timeline of Mom's estate distribution. How did she even access this? The inheritance was deposited into my personal account first. That's what I've been trying to figure out. Near as I can tell, she had access to your personal account. She transferred the money out within 48 hours of it landing. I felt sick. My wife had online access to all our accounts. I'd never thought twice about it. We were married. We shared everything. Or so I thought. Why would she do this? We're not struggling. We have good jobs. We live comfortably. I don't know, but I do know this. 3 days after I started asking questions about the estate discrepancy, she confronted me, told me to stay out of things that don't concern me. That was about 2 months ago. I told her I'd be discussing it with you. That's when she threatened me. Threatened you how? Said if I told you anything, she'd make sure I never saw the kids again. Said she'd tell you I was trying to break up your marriage, that I was obsessed with you, that I'd always been jealous of her. That explained the ultimatum. My wife wasn't trying to protect our marriage from my sister. She was trying to get rid of the only person who knew the truth. I sat there for a long time, just staring at the folder. 7 years, 2 kids, a life I thought was built on trust. What do I do? I finally asked. That's up to you. But I thought you deserved to know, and I'm sorry. I really am. Don't apologize. You're the only person who told me the truth. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I was afraid you wouldn't believe me, that you'd think I was trying to cause problems. That's exactly what she wanted you to think. That's why she threatened you. I almost didn't say anything. I almost just let it go. But then she gave you that ultimatum, and I realized she was going to cut me off entirely. And if that happened, you'd never know. She'd have gotten away with it forever. The manipulation was so layered, so calculated. My wife hadn't just stolen money, she'd built an entire strategy to keep it hidden. And when that strategy was threatened, she went nuclear, tried to eliminate the threat entirely. I went home that night and didn't say anything. I needed time to think, to verify, to figure out my next move. The money was still there. I checked. The secret account still existed, now with about $215,000 after what I'm assuming was interest accumulation. She hadn't touched it, just sat on it. Like a safety net, like an exit plan. 7 years, 2 kids, $200,000 of my dead mother's money that she'd stolen from me. And she had the audacity to ask me to choose between her and my sister. Update 1 week later. First, thanks for all the comments and DMs. I've been reading everything, even if I haven't responded. A lot of you told me to lawyer up immediately. That's exactly what I did. I met with a divorce attorney the Monday after I talked to my sister. Showed her everything, the secret account, the transfer records, the timeline. Her face went from professional to genuinely surprised as she reviewed the documents. This is substantial, she said. In most states, inheritance is considered separate property, not marital property. Your mother's money was yours. Your wife essentially embezzled from you. What are my options? That depends on what you want. If you want to pursue criminal charges, you could file a police report for theft or fraud. But that would be complicated since she's your spouse and had authorized access to your accounts. If you want to pursue this through divorce, you have a strong case for recovery of the funds. Plus, it establishes a pattern of financial deception that will affect custody and asset division. I decided to wait on criminal charges. I needed to think about the kids, but I did start preparing for divorce. Meanwhile, my wife had no idea I knew anything. She was still acting normal at home, making dinner, doing school drop-offs, asking about my day like she hadn't stolen $200,000 from me. The cognitive dissonance was surreal. I'd look at her across the dinner table, watching her laugh with the kids, and wonder who this person really was. The entitlement was what got me. She genuinely believed she deserved that money. I watched her carefully that week, noticing things I'd missed before. The expensive skincare products she claimed were on sale, the designer bag she said her mom bought her, the spa days with friends that she paid for in cash. Little things that I'd never questioned, because why would I? We were married. I trusted her. She'd been living a secret life funded by my inheritance, my mother's money. The woman who'd worked her whole life, who'd saved every penny, who'd wanted to leave something for her children. And my wife had just taken it, like it was owed to her. I also started documenting everything. Screenshots of the account, copies of all financial records, a journal of her behavior. My lawyer said to keep a record of everything, especially anything related to the kids. Then came the escalation. Friday night, my wife announced we were having dinner at her parents' house on Sunday. Family dinner, she said. I think it's time we clear the air about some things. What things? Your sister. I've been talking to my mom about it, and she agrees. Your relationship with her is inappropriate. It's putting strain on our marriage. My family thinks so too. So she was rallying troops, building a narrative, making me look like the problem before I could say anything. I went along with it. I wanted to see how far she'd take this. Sunday dinner was brutal. Her mother, father, and brother were all there. They'd clearly been prepped. "We're worried about you," her mother started. "Your wife says you've been distant, prioritizing your sister over your own family." "My sister is my family," I said calmly. "She's not your wife," her brother jumped in. "Your wife should come first, always." "And she does, but my sister isn't a threat to my marriage. I don't understand why everyone keeps saying that." My wife put her hand on mine. "Babe, I'm just saying, I need to feel like a priority. Your sister is always there, every holiday, every birthday. It's too much. She's their aunt. She's supposed to be there. Maybe she should find her own family instead of clinging to yours." The venom in that statement, the casualness of it, like my sister was some kind of parasite instead of the only family I had left. My parents were gone. My sister was all I had, and my wife wanted to take that too. Her family nodded along. Her mother added, "Boundaries are healthy in a marriage. Sometimes family can be too close." "My sister lives 20 minutes away," I said. "We see her once a month. How is that too close?" "It's not about distance," my wife said. "It's about emotional space. Every time something happens in our lives, your first call is to her, before me. That hurts." That wasn't even true. I called my wife first about everything. My sister was secondary, but I could see what she was doing, rewriting history in front of witnesses, building her case. I didn't blow up, didn't confront, just nodded and said I'd think about it. The whole drive home, she was chatty and happy, clearly thinking she'd won. That night, I called my sister. "They're trying to isolate me, make me cut you off before I find out the truth." "What are you gonna do?" "I'm gonna let her think she's winning, and then I'm going to blow the whole thing wide open." Here's what I did next. First, I contacted my mother's former estate lawyer. He confirmed that the distribution was supposed to go directly to me, and he had records of the exact deposit amount and date. He also confirmed that no one else should have had authority to move those funds. Second, I quietly opened my own individual bank account at a different bank. Started redirecting a small portion of my paycheck there. Just enough to have emergency funds if things went sideways. Third, I started gathering character witnesses. Friends who'd seen my marriage up close, coworkers who could vouch for my stability, my sister, obviously. Anyone who could counter the narrative my wife was building. The trap was set. I just needed the right moment to spring it. Update 2, 3 weeks later. The moment came faster than I expected. My wife pushed for a family intervention. She'd been working her relatives for weeks, and they agreed to stage a formal sit-down to address my unhealthy attachment to my sister. Her parents, her brother, and her aunt would all be there. She wanted me to invite my sister so they could explain their concerns directly. I agreed. But I also invited someone else, my mother's estate lawyer. The day of the intervention, my wife was practically glowing. She'd rehearsed her talking points, had her family lined up like soldiers. My sister arrived first, looking tense but composed. She knew what was coming. We'd coordinated everything. "Thank you all for being here," my wife started, standing at the head of her parents' dining room like she was running a board meeting. "I know this is uncomfortable, but we need to address something that's been affecting my marriage." She launched into her prepared speech. How my sister was always around. How I prioritized her over my own wife. How she felt second best in her own marriage. Her family nodded along, murmuring agreement. Then she turned to my sister. "I want you to understand, this isn't personal. I just need my husband to be fully present in our marriage. And that can't happen as long as you're constantly inserting yourself." My sister didn't respond, just looked at me. That's when the estate lawyer walked in. "Sorry I'm late," he said, taking a seat. "Traffic." My wife's face flickered with confusion. "Who is this?" "This is the attorney who handled my mother's estate," I said calmly. "I thought since we're having a family meeting about family issues, he should be here to clarify some things." The room went silent. "What things?" her father asked. I pulled out the folder. The same folder my sister had given me weeks ago. I spread the documents on the table. About 2 years ago, I inherited $200,000 from my mother. That money was supposed to go into our family savings. Instead, my wife transferred it to a private account in her name only. An account she's never told me about. An account that currently holds over $215,000. You could have heard a pin drop. That's "That's not true," my wife stammered. "I don't know what you're talking about." The lawyer spoke up. "I have the original transfer records from the estate. The money was deposited into your HUD's personal account on March 15th. Within 48 hours, it was moved to an account at a different bank, an account registered solely in your name." He slid copies across the table. My wife's mother picked up the papers, scanning them. Her face went pale. "Is this real?" she asked her daughter. It's a misunderstanding. That money was for emergencies, for our family." "Then why didn't I know about it?" I asked. "Why is it in your name only? Why have you been spending from it without telling me?" "I haven't been. The spa trips you pay for in cash, the designer bags your mom supposedly bought you, the skincare you got on sale. I've been tracking your spending for weeks. It doesn't add up unless you have another income source." "Which you do." "My mother's money." Her brother tried to intervene. "Look, married couples share finances. Maybe she was just—" "That money was my inheritance, legally separate property. She had no right to it. And instead of talking to me about it, she hid it for 2 years and then tried to cut off my sister, the only person who knew what she'd done." I turned to my wife. "This whole intervention isn't about my relationship with my sister. It's about making sure I never found out what you did. You've been building this narrative for months, making me look like the problem, rallying your family against me, all to protect your secret." Her aunt spoke up for the first time. "Is this true? You've been lying to us about why you wanted his sister gone?" My wife couldn't answer. The silence was damning. "All those conversations we had," her mother said slowly, realization dawning. "All those times you called crying about how neglected you felt, it was all manufactured?" "I did feel neglected," my wife shouted. "He was always with his sister, always talking to her. She was always there." "Because she's my family," I said, "and because she was the only one who noticed something was wrong. You weren't upset about my relationship with her. You were upset that she was getting too close to the truth." My wife started crying. Real tears this time, not the performative ones she'd used at the dinner last week. "I was scared," she sobbed. "I didn't know if we'd last. I needed security. I needed to know I'd be okay if something happened." "So you stole from me." "It wasn't stealing. We're married. It was my inheritance from my dead mother, and you took it without telling me and hid it for 2 years. That's theft, that's fraud, and that's definitely grounds for divorce." Her mother stood up. "Young lady, is this true? Did you take his inheritance?" My wife couldn't answer, just kept crying. "I think," her father said slowly, "we owe your sister an apology, and I think you two need to sort this out with lawyers, not family interventions." The room cleared quickly after that. Her family didn't know what to say. The narrative they'd been fed had completely collapsed. My sister and I left together. In the car, she finally exhaled. "That was intense. It's not over yet, but at least now everyone knows the truth." Final update, 2 months later. The divorce was finalized last week. Here's how it all shook out. The weeks leading up to finalization were exhausting. My wife tried everything to delay and complicate the process. First, she denied the secret account existed. When confronted with bank records, she changed tactics and claimed it was joint marital property, and she was entitled to it. Her lawyer pushed that argument hard, citing the length of our marriage and the commingling of assets. My lawyer was prepared for this. She presented the estate documents proving the funds were inherited, legally separate property in our state that never touched our joint accounts. She showed the transfer happened within 48 hours before any commingling could occur. She demonstrated that my wife had deliberately obscured the transfer by opening an account at a completely different bank. The judge was not impressed. During the initial hearing, he asked my wife directly, "Did you transfer these funds without your husband's knowledge or consent?" She tried to spin it. "I was managing our family's finances. I was protecting us." That wasn't the question. "Did you transfer these funds without his knowledge?" "Yes." "And did you maintain this account separately in your name only for nearly 2 years without disclosing it to him?" "Yes, but—" "Thank you. That's all I needed." The financial settlement was brutal for her. The entire secret account, now at $217,000, was ordered returned to me as my separate property. Additionally, because she demonstrated financial deception, The court factored that into the overall asset division. Instead of a 50-50 split of marital assets, it went closer to 60-40 in my favor. Custody was where things got complicated. My wife's lawyers argued that she'd been the primary caregiver, which was technically true. She'd worked part-time while I worked full-time. They painted a picture of a devoted mother being torn from her children by a vindictive husband. But my lawyers presented evidence that shifted the narrative. The deception about the money, the attempts to isolate me from family, the recordings of her threatening my sister about never seeing the kids. A journal entry I'd found on her laptop where she wrote about making sure the kids prefer me when this falls apart. That last one was particularly damning. She'd been preparing for this, planning for divorce while pretending everything was fine, using the kids as pawns in a game I didn't even know we were playing. The child custody evaluator interviewed both of us, the kids, and several witnesses. My sister testified. My wife's own mother admitted, reluctantly, that her daughter had trouble with honesty sometimes. The evaluator's report was favorable to me. It noted my wife's pattern of manipulation and recommended I be the primary residential parent to provide stability and transparency. The judge awarded us joint legal custody with a 60-40 physical custody split, me as the primary residential parent. My wife was devastated. "You're taking my children because of money?" She screamed in the courthouse hallway after the ruling. "I'm taking primary custody because you lied, manipulated, and stole." The court agreed. "This isn't fair. I was a good mother. I was home with them. You were also stealing from their father and planning how to turn them against me." The evaluator read your journal. Her face went white. She hadn't known about that, hadn't realized I'd found it and submitted it as evidence. "That was private," she hissed. "So was my inheritance. Guess privacy doesn't count for much in divorce court." She didn't respond to that, just grabbed her lawyer's arm and walked away. Her family, interestingly, stayed out of it after the intervention. Her mother sent me a brief text. "I'm sorry for what happened. I didn't know." I didn't respond, but I appreciated that she at least acknowledged reality. Her brother, who'd been so aggressive at that first dinner, actually reached out to apologize, said his sister had painted a very different picture of the situation. I told him I understood. She'd painted that same picture for me for 7 years. My sister has been incredible through all of this. She helped me find the new apartment. She watched the kids during court dates. She's been there for pickups and drop-offs when I've had work conflicts. She's the emergency contact at their school now. Everything my wife tried to take from me, my sister helped rebuild. The kids ask about their mom. Of course. They don't understand why mommy and daddy don't live together anymore. I don't badmouth her to them. I just say sometimes grown-ups decide to live in different houses, but we both love you very much. My therapist helped me with that language. It's important they don't feel caught in the middle. My wife, predictably, hasn't shown the same restraint. The kids have come home from her weekends asking questions like, "Mommy says you were mean to her. Is that true?" And "Mommy says Auntie is bad. Why does Auntie come over?" I've documented every instance. My lawyer says if it continues, we can file for a modification. Parental alienation is taken seriously now. The money is back in my account. Most of it will go toward the kids' college funds and the new living situation. It's what my mom would have wanted. My ex-wife is living with her parents now. She can't afford her own place on her part-time salary, and the divorce settlement didn't leave her with much liquid cash. The secret account is gone. The marital assets were divided in my favor. She has the kids every other weekend and Wednesday nights. She's bitter about it. Constantly texts me complaints about the schedule, about the unfairness of it all, about how I ruined her life. She blames me for the divorce, for the custody split, for her financial situation. Never once has she acknowledged that she started all of this, that she stole from me, that she tried to cut off my family, that she manipulated her own relatives into attacking me. In her mind, she's the victim. She'll probably always see it that way. I don't engage. I just forward everything to my lawyer. Her brother called me last week, not to attack me this time, but to apologize again and to ask if there was anything he could do to help with the kids. I told him I appreciated the offer, but we were managing. He said his parents were struggling with what happened. They believed their daughter completely, built their whole understanding of the situation on her lies, and now they didn't know what to think. She's their kid, I said. They love her. They should support her. Even knowing what she did, even then. That's what family does. That's what my sister did for me. He was quiet for a moment. Your sister's a good person. We should have listened to you. Yeah, you should have. Last week she sent a particularly nasty message. Your sister won. I hope you're happy being married to her instead. I didn't respond to that either. The projection is almost comical at this point. She stole my inheritance, tried to cut off my family, manipulated her own relatives into attacking me, and somehow I'm the villain. Some people will never take accountability. That's just who they are. Here's what I've learned from all this. Trust, but verify. I loved my wife. I trusted her completely, and she took advantage of that trust for years. I'm not saying become paranoid, but pay attention to your own finances. Know where your money is. Question things that don't add up. Family matters. My sister didn't have to tell me what she found. She could have stayed quiet, avoided the drama, let me live in ignorance. Instead, she risked her relationship with me and the kids to tell me the truth. That's real family. Document everything. When things started falling apart, I was glad I'd kept records. Screenshots, emails, financial statements, a timeline of events. It all mattered in court. The truth comes out eventually. My wife spent 2 years building her secret. It took my sister about 3 months to unravel it. Lies have a way of surfacing, especially when they involve money. As for me, I'm tired. This has been the hardest 2 months of my life. But the kids are adjusting. My sister is around more. My apartment is starting to feel like home. I don't know what the future holds. I'm not thinking about dating or moving on or any of that. Right now, I'm just focused on being a good dad and rebuilding trust in my own judgment. My ex-wife wanted me to choose between her and my sister. In the end, she made the choice for me. She just didn't realize she was choosing to lose. Thanks for following this mess. Time to close this chapter.